Hello, dear students. This video will be on the second chapter of your business studies. I'm talking about class 12 business studies students. I have already done two videos on chapter 1, and this one will be on chapter 2, which is one of the most important chapters that you're having, which is the principles of management. You can expect a lot of questions from this chapter. If you have gone through the past year's papers, you must have seen that this particular chapter holds a lot of importance, and there's a lot of question coming from this chapter. So I'll try to explain you this chapter brief. I'll tell you about the important points. I'll also tell you about what kind of questions you can expect, and I will be highlighting a few points. So I would expect you to watch this video till the end. Let's begin. We begin the chapter, that is Principles of Management, with two very common questions. That is, what do you mean by principles, and what do you mean by the principles of management? Usually you can expect the meaning of principles of management as an objective type question. I'm not stressing on this particular part because these are very, very basic questions, and I don't think I need to guide you on this. If you know the chapter, you automatically know what is meant by principles of management. Okay, so going to the next portion, which can carry more marks, is the nature or features or characteristics of principles of management. I'll just go through the points very fast once, so that in case any of you are still confused regarding the explanation of these points, you get an idea about it. Okay, so either nature or feature or characteristics of principles of management. The first one is, these are general guidelines. Okay, these will guide you, but these needs to be modified according to the situations. Okay, so these are basic guidelines. They are not shortcuts. They are not solution to all problems. Okay, they are not ready-made solution to problems. But yes, if you are following these guidelines, then it will help you in solving so many managerial problems. Okay. Next we have, it is formed by practice and experimentation. That is the reason we also call, we say the part of management is similar to that of science. Why? It's not whimsical. It's not just that I felt like doing this or I wished, like this. It's nothing like that. You have a base for it. You have a basis for it. And what is that basis? You do a lot of experimentation. You do a lot of research. You do a lot of practice. You do a lot of study. And then only these guidelines or these principles are drafted or generated. Okay, so it is based on practice and experimentation. These are not random in nature. Next, it is contingent, or we can say it is dependent. So these guidelines or these principles will depend a lot of things, and that is the reason it will also change from situation to situation. How you apply these might change. What is applicable here might not be applicable in some other situation. Okay, because it depends on so many other factors, so many other things. So that is another point. Next we have flexible. Management as a feature of management, in the last chapter, the last video, if you have watched it, you have seen this to be a characteristics of management also, that it's dynamic in nature, it is flexible. Because there are so many things happening around you in the environment with which you have to modify yourselves. Okay, so there cannot be anything, to be very rigid. We have to modify. We have to keep that flexibility. The same goes for the management principles also. They are not rigid prescriptions. These can be modified. This can be I won't say changed, but yes, modified is the best word to use, because you need to modify it according to different situations. Universal applicability. This means, now this you might find it a little contradicting with what we said in the last video for the last chapter. But here what we mean by universal applicability is that these principles or these guidelines is useful for any type of organization. Okay, whether it's a profit oriented business, non profit oriented business, a small organization, a big organization, just like the one we said, pervasive kind of thing. So this will have universal application. You can modify it, you can, do it according to what is suiting you the best or your organization the best, but the fact remains that they can be applied in all types of organizations. So these principles are not organization specific, that it can only be applied in this particular organization, cannot be applied somewhere else. It's not that. Maybe what you will have to do is you have to modify it. Okay, next is establishes cause and effect relationship, just like in science. Okay, what is causing this and what shall be the effect of this? So whenever we are going for principles, that is the reason we are saying that these are not something very it's not random in nature. Next we have, it is based on mainly based on behavior. Okay, yes, because it aims at influencing the behavior of human beings. Whatever we are saying, doing, or whatever we are providing as guidelines, the basic aim is to influence people. Management, after all, is the art of getting things done through other people. So you can get your things done through other people only when you can influence them in a positive manner. Obviously, when we are talking about influencing someone, we are not talking about putting pressure or doing it the wrong way. Okay, we are not even discussing about it, but influencing means somebody is willingly contributing to what you're saying. So this will be the main motive, or this is what we are aiming at. So if we talk about the characteristics of the principles of management, yes, it is mainly based on behavior of human beings. Next, we come to the next topic, which is significance of principles of management. This is important, quite important. Direct questions can come from this point. Can be an elaborate type of question also. It can carry a lot of marks and can come as MCQs also, by giving one particular point and then saying identify which one is talks about the significance of principles of management, or out of these which is not cannot be put into the category of significance of principles of management. Lots of questions can be framed, but long questions can also come from this particular portion. Significance, why? Because it provides manager with useful insights into reality. It guides the manager. Okay, it talks about situation, it talks about what can happen if this is done, that is not done. So it obviously serves as a guide, so it helps the manager. Optimum utilization of resources and effective administration. When we go into the 14 principles of management and the scientific principles and the scientific techniques later on, you will understand why we are saying this particular point. Okay, because if you are following the principles, then through those principles we can actually enhance the efficiency of people working with us, and also our own organization's efficiency. That we will do in detail when we go to the next part. Thoughtful decisions. These guidelines will help you in taking rational decisions. Not in the heat of the moment I'm taking a decision, not because I felt like, not because I didn't want to listen to somebody else, but when you're taking a decision, that's a thoughtful one, that's a scientific one. There's a reason for doing a certain thing and not doing a certain thing. Okay, these guidelines will help you in doing that. Meeting changing environment requirements. You become dynamic, which is the need of the hour. You cannot survive in today's world if you're not having that ability to adapt yourself and modify yourself to the needs and requirement and changes happening around you. So these principles will help one in becoming more flexible. Fulfilling social responsibilities. It also guides the managers in performing certain social responsibilities. So that way we can say that it increases the awareness also, okay, among the managers. Next, we have management training, education, and research. This is another point. Obviously, through these training and research and education, you become better, the managers become efficient, the organization not wells, works well, and these principles can be used for the basis of management training and things like that. So this usually, you get this as a very direct question, usually, but I'm not saying you will get it as a direct question, but usually you get it as a direct question. Now coming to the important part, which is the 14 principles. Okay, so Henry Fayol's 14 principles. Now here one short question can be like, who is known as the father of management? So there you have to give the name of Henry Fayol. Be careful about the spelling. Don't make a spelling mistake. I'm not going into the controversy of whether marks are deducted for making spelling mistakes or not, but I would just tell you to be a little careful with the spellings, because you wouldn't want your name to be misspelled, would you? So one or two names you can definitely remember the spellings and all. Don't make the mistakes of making spelling errors. Okay, so a little bit about Henry Fayol, that would help you. Father of management, this question is very common, so, and I'm sure you all know it, so there's nothing to worry about it. The important part is the 14 principles. Now you can have a lot of case study based questions from this, analytical questions, high order thinking skills questions, very much you can get it from this particular portion, and it's actually easy. The 14 principles, the names tell you about the principles, but yes, see, we always keep on saying that nowadays we don't want rote learning kind of learning happening, but there are a few things where you will have to memorize. So the names of these 14 principles, obviously you will have to memorize, you will have to remember, but you need to understand the 14 principles so that you're in a position to answer any case study which is given to you based on any of these 14 principles. So let's go for the 14 principles. Now this portion is important. The 14 principles of Henry Fayol. First one is division of work, dividing the work into smaller units. Why? Because we want to go for specialization. If you are burdening one person with a lot of work, then his efficiency will fall. And when you give one person one particular kind of work and he repeatedly keeps on doing it, then he becomes an expert in that. He gets that expertise, he becomes a master in that. But if we keep on giving him a lot of work, and every day we are putting a lot of burden on him, pressurizing him, then his productivity will fall. So that is the main thing behind the division of work. Okay, so what is the meaning and what's the purpose? Why are we developing this principle? That needs to be understood. Okay, so what is division of work and why division of work is important? So the main key is it leads to specialization of work. Remember that. And see, in your book, there are different reference book. I'm not suggesting any particular reference book, but you must be having. So there it will be mentioned like the positive effects, the consequences of violation of this principle. So go through those 2 points. Okay, what is the positive effect? Like suppose when we are talking about division of work, what is the positive effect we can talk about? It leads to specialization. That is one. It increases efficiency. When you become specialized, your efficiency increases. Okay, it results in more productivity. You are specialized, your efficiency has increased, so it is bound to affect the productivity in a positive manner. Okay, consequences, if this is not followed, that is if this one is violated, then what happens? Lack of efficiency, obviously. Chances of duplication of work. Two people might be doing the same work because work has not been properly divided, it's not sorted. Okay, wastage of material and labor. If 2-3 people are doing the same work but I need only one, then there is a lot of wastage. Okay, overburdened people might become, that might lead to certain resentment also. They might become demoralized. If you put a lot of pressure on your employees, they will not feel like working with you. So there are so many consequences of violation of this particular point. So this all these 14 principles, do it very carefully. Okay, meaning what are the positive impacts, that why we should do it, what will happen if it is not followed. Okay, and here a question also, you can get it like that, where it will be given in a particular organization, maybe something is not being followed, due to which you're having some negative consequences. The question will be which principle is not being followed, due to which these things are happening. Okay, next, authority and responsibility. Authority means the power, responsibility means your liability, your duties, and there should be a parity between these two, that is a balance between your power and your responsibility. Because if you have too much of power, then you can misuse it, and if you have too much of responsibilities but no power, then it will not be possible for you to get the work done. Okay, so there should be a parity or a balance between the power, that is the authority, and the responsibility. So here also the positive effects and the consequences, what will happen if this particular thing is violated. Positive effects, no misuse of authority because it's in balance.